now that you're done and like looking back on it, how do you feel about your deer season? Like,
I got
obviously,
no
we all know.
regrets. I mean, I had a blast, and I chased my dreams. I held out for certain classes of animals, and I got no regrets of staying true to the end of the season and having a blast doing it. And I don't have to kill something to feel like I had a successful season. I got out of it
Yeah,
alive. I'm not injured. I feel good, and I had a blast hunting, and so I'm fine with it. Obviously, I'd rather um, kill a giant buck every year, but I
yeah,
think that's. I want to say that's the third season in my life that I didn't shoot a buck on.
yeah. That's pretty good for as many seasons as you've had now.
Mhm.
Um, I was kind of preparing for this show a little bit. I was watching some of your stuff from this year, particularly the kind of the two deer that you shot,
Mhm.
um, and didn't recover. Um,
Those are kind of haunting,
yeah,
especially that
the
first one.
yeah, that was a nice deer.
Yeah, he had a hell of a cage on him. Hmm.
Yeah, I was I I mean, I think the biggest thing is like uh, with for the hunting beast or the videoing aspect of it is like you taught a really good lesson in that video. Um, so I mean that video was a success in my opinion. Other than the part where it sucks that you wounded a deer. Um,
There
but
was several things that went wrong in that video that could have been righted. Um, and that's why I got so much regret with that hunt. And that's why it was a good one to show. It showed my mistakes. It shows I make mistakes too,
yeah,
um, and several mistakes. It wasn't just shooting a buck in the wrong position. I mean, um, feeling like that was a good hunt to shoot a doe on was probably a bad idea, and that's probably where it started to cannonball, the shooting at
yeah,
doe. I've been pretty patient about not shooting does on buck hunts. Been going in and just waiting, not shooting small bucks, not shooting does, just waiting for a target animal because I know you let your guard down, you could ruin your hunt. And so on that hunt, I just thought, well, I'm going to do an observation here. But even so, that observation was pretty close to where I expected bucks. But I was thinking I can kill a doe here. I'm out of it. I'm across some grass and stuff. I can kill a doe and still do an observation hunt. And I shot that doe without taking I always scan around, make sure there's nothing else around, but I didn't scan good enough. And that buck was in the field watching when I shot the doe. I just didn't know he was there.
yeah,
You know, um, so that started it. That buck was on alert because I shot that doe. So then I shoot the doe and I look over and I see a buck standing there and it's a borderline shooter.
hmm,
Um, it's a nice buck. And I'm thinking about it and, contemplating whether or not I'd shoot it. It was like right on the border.
yeah,
And then I look down and see that big buck walking right underneath me, coming in fast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a no doubt shooter. It's a giant buck, mature buck. I'm shooting this one. He's going to walk right underneath me broadside or whatever. But he was on alert. He was coming in and was going to anyway, probably. But he's on alert. You could see he's on alert. I could see his tail go straight out. He's looking around like, why did that doe just run out of here? What was that whack noise, But he's
yep,
coming in. But he's looking all around, all over the place, trying to decipher what happened. And because of that, he eventually, when he got right underneath me, looked up and saw me in the tree. He shouldn't have saw me in that tree. He shouldn't have looked up. Now, granted, I'm a little skylit there because of the small trees and the way the situation was.
yeah,
He should not have seen me in that tree, but he did because of what I did with the doe. And then, um, legitimately, I can say this: I hardly ever wound a doe, miss a doe, have a bad opportunity at a doe
yeah,
because I wait for right shot.
right,
And over the years, what I've learned is even if they spot you in the tree, you just sit there and if they run, they run. They don't, they don't. But you think it's over. Most of the time, they give you a shot.
yeah,
Maybe they turn to run. Maybe, and there's already a full draw with this buck, right?
hmm,
But I put it into my head that this thing's about to bolt and I need to get an arrow in him. And I really didn't think it was that bad of a shot to shoot right down its windpipe into its vitals. And probably because I shoot a lesser weight than a lot of guys. A 50 pound, maybe 70 would have punched it in. I don't know. But if I would have just waited and hesitated till that buck turned. So that one haunts me. You know, where that buck a couple weeks later that I shot in the spine and the arrow blew up.
Yeah.
That doesn't haunt me.
Right.
Because I felt like I did everything right.
Right.
It just failed. I don't think that there's much I would change in that shot. But the first one, I felt like that buck got wounded. It was lost. I killed it, didn't recover it, which is something I do not want to do, obviously. And I did that because of my own errors. And that's why that one bothers me so much, you know. Not to say that second one doesn't bother me. It bothers me, but it's not like the first one.
Right. Well, that's why I think it was such a good video. Is like there's not very many videos like that out there where that's as real as bow hunting gets right there. Like
most people won't show that.
No, that usually doesn't get aired, you know, on most platforms. So that, I mean, that's a positive that came out of it. Everybody got to learn from your mistake.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. You got to turn those negatives into positives, and I felt so too. I mean, you can imagine. I just took a big pause, and I just said, "Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's what this is about, you know." And you know that from me. I mean, the guys that film with us or around us and stuff, I'm always preaching. And, you know, if something bad happens, you got to be honest about it.
Yeah,
people will pick up on it. You know what I'm saying? You got to put it out there, and I got to do the same. You know, otherwise you guys wouldn't even respect me if I didn't do that.
Right. Yeah, it is what it is. Like you said in that video, once you pull that trigger, you can't take it back. You know,
you can't take arrows and bullets back.
That's as permanent as it gets.
Yeah, and you know you're going to get the criticism on something like that. But what gets me is the criticism. Most of those guys would have done the same thing in the same situation, or they maybe they wouldn't. But I can tell you one thing: they'd be awfully tempted.
Right.
The temptation's there. If you believe that deer's about to run and you believe you can make the shot, and I didn't take a shot, I didn't believe I could make. I 100% believed I would kill that deer when I pulled that trigger, or I wouldn't have shot.
Right.
So I mean, just about everybody that wants to shoot a buck like that, if they believe 100% they're going to shoot it and they're going to kill it, they're going to take the shot.
Right.
But I think in hindsight, it happens again. I'm going to try and let it turn broadside. You know, maybe it takes a step back, takes a jump or two, gives me a shot. Maybe it doesn't, and I have to kill it a different day. But I mean, it was a long season from then on, and I probably maybe would have got another chance at it. I mean, but again, there was other bucks there that I really wanted to get. There's one really huge one in that same area that I thought I'd kill. I had picture after picture of him. I knew where he was living, and I was moving in and out on him, and my neighbor shot him. So, I mean, that happened too. But you still got to have the respect for the animal to try not to take an empty shot or to just let it go to waste.
Yeah. And something like, obviously this is a armchair quarterback comment, but it looked like in the video that if he would have been turned towards you just a little bit more, or whichever way it was, it may have been a better angle too. Like it's like, but it's all so freaking hard to judge up there, you know. The camera angle is different.
Yeah, two things. Number one, the camera angle is different than my angle. I looked like I was looking straight on at it, looking straight on at me. Looking at the camera angle, it looked like he was on an angle. And I don't remember what number two was. You got me. Yeah, you stepped me off in the first one.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Is like sometimes when you pull your bow back, and all of a sudden you get so hyper focused on something whenever your bow's back and you're looking through your peep or whatever, and I mean, it could have moved even a 5 or 6 inches and it's a different angle. But
Yeah, that's the
I
thing I
don't
was
know.
going to say. You see things different than the camera too.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really weird to most of the people listening to this, but I have had things happen on video where you videotape a deer walk by, or you shoot at one, or whatever, and you get back home and you watch the footage, and you're saying, "That ain't the buck I saw," or "That ain't what." Cameras don't lie, but sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment and you're concentrating on a shot, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You don't always see things good. And actually, I look at that as a learning curve, because then you start realizing, well, maybe I got to be a little more, observant to what's going on around me, instead of being so, like you said, hyper focused on one thing, like killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, you look at a deer and I'm just sitting there, say a medium sized 8 or a small 10 or something comes by, and you have no intention of shooting it. You got your bow hanging there. Your bow don't even come down. You're just watching it, and you're thinking about everything it's doing. You're thinking, well, okay, you could kill it over here. You could do this. You could do that. How's it going to do? Watch how it reacts here. But when one comes in, you say, that's a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about anything about where it's walking, how things are going. I'm thinking about, how can I get an arrow in that as fast as possible before it detects me?
Right.
And that was my downfall on that hunt, because I was trying to get an arrow into it literally as fast as I could before it detects me.
Yeah. And
Because
it had
I've learned
to be ready. Yeah.
Those giant deer, when they get to a certain range, when they get within about 10 yards, they just have a knack for figuring you out.
Yeah.
You want to get an arrow in them at about 20 yards, but that's not always possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of my things, is that giant bucks got to be treated with the same respect that I treat does with it. You got to wait for that shot to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
it's hard. I'm not saying I'll never make a mistake again. I might.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm going to try harder not to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, it is kind of crazy how we want so bad to get one of those bucks that we lose our mind like that. It's like too bad almost, it's too bad we want them so bad. It's like a catch-22. You spend all this really hard earned time to get that opportunity, and then wanting to kill it so bad is actually like a downfall to actually killing it, sometimes.
On that second buck,
mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good video too, because I never turned that camera off, and I really believed I killed that deer, and I just let everybody think I killed it, just like I thought, until I got over there. And they got to see my heart drop, just like they saw my excitement go up, because it looked like on video too that I killed it.
Yeah.
So that was an exciting video with a huge letdown, basically.
That looked like a big deer too. Was it? You think it was bigger than that first one, or
no? He wasn't bigger than the first one. He was big, but he wasn't bigger than the first one. The first one was giant.
Yeah.
He had a bushel basket.
Yeah. I could. The second one, obviously the deer wasn't as close, so it was hard to tell exactly how big it was, but it looked like a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That second one, that's public land that gets a lot of pressure. And I put a trail camera in there just before season. And in a 30-day period, maybe a little more than 30, maybe it was 60 days. Mm-hmm. I got 40 different bucks on camera. It was insane. And there were so many shooters on that camera. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And it's public land that gets pounded.
Huh. Yeah, that goes to show you, I guess.
Pictures.
Yeah.
But the camera wasn't where I hunted, though. The camera was probably a quarter mile from where I hunted.
Right.
But I figured where they would be basically during the season,
Yeah, right. Something else I noticed, I'm sure you noticed this when you're editing the video, but that first buck, did you see that your arrow hit a leaf or something when it came out of the bow? I couldn't remember if you mentioned that in the video or not.
I don't think I mentioned, but it did.
Mm-mm. That could have been enough too to knock it. If it knocks it just a little bit out of tune, the arrow wise, or the messes the flight.
There's a lot of things can go wrong on a hunt. I mean, you can hit a leaf like that. I had if you and I know you saw this recently because we were talking about using the footage for a seminar, but that buck that I snuck up the tree when it was in the cattails bedded.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that footage up close, The reason I blew that shot is when I shoot, one of the fletchings rips off the arrow as it comes out of the bow and throws the arrow off. Crap like that happens. That is completely out of your. I mean, how do you control that?
Right.
Hey everybody, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you like the clips, I got 2 more options for you. 2 options right here. Subscribe right here. See you guys.